There were 3 goals in today's Gemini flight: a good launch in orbit, a successful walk in space, and satisfactory rendezvous in space with the capsule's booster. 2 worked, 1 didn't. First, the launch itself. The launch had to be delayed for an hour and 16 minutes when electrical trouble developed in the erector. It was rather like running out to drive your new sports car only to find that the garage door was stuck. Well, finally, the malfunction was corrected, the erector was lowered, and the final countdown began.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
It was a picture book launch as the countdown hit 0, close to 30,000 pounds of liquid fuel ignited. For a split second, the rocket shuddered, hovered over the launch pad, then rose gracefully, majestically toward the sky. With a roar that could be heard for miles up and down the Florida beaches, the Gemini Titan IV was rising upward at the exact 72-degree angle. In the blockhouse, technicians and scientists used one word to describe it: beautiful. And those were the same words that Jim McDivitt, the command pilot, radioed back to Cape Kennedy. 5 minutes after launch and after the first stage of the Titan booster had separated, the 7,000-pound Gemini spacecraft hit that keyhole in the sky. The scene at the White House was no different, as you saw just a second ago, than it was at millions of homes around the country and in many other sections of the world. The president sat before his television set from shortly before launch until the Gemini 4 had successfully gone into orbit. Later he said, "We've had an exciting morning, but there was more to come." For a period of about 20 minutes today, astronaut Edward White walked in space, out of his spacecraft but attached to it by a nylon tether. As a point of curiosity, in earthly terms, White walked the distance from Hawaii to Bermuda. Not so impressive, perhaps, to spacemen. Probably the high point of the day was the conversation between ground and capsule as White walked in space. And here's the way a portion of it went.
Let me take a close-up picture there. Oh, you speared up my windshield, you dirty dog. Yeah. Man, I don't even know exactly where we are, but it looks like we're about over Texas again. As a matter of fact, you know, it looks like Houston down below us. Yeah, that's Galveston Bay right there. Hey.
The flight director says get back in.
Well, this is Jim. What, got any message for us?
Jimmy 4, get back in.
Okay. We still got 3.5 more days to go, buddy.
Obviously, White was enjoying himself immensely. At a news conference in Houston this afternoon after the walk in space, that feat was a natural subject for questioning, as was the comparison between White's walk and that of the Russian cosmonaut Leonov. ABC correspondent Bob Young put the question.
Do you consider Ed White's performance a significant advance over the Russian performance in space?
I consider what Ed White did a significant advancement in the spaceflight operational capability of the United States.
Also in comparison with the Russians?
I think you have to give the Russians a great deal of credit for their extravehicular activity. We had extravehicular activity ourselves today, and also gained the experience of being able to maneuver with a thruster that permits the astronaut to go where he wants to go in space without reference to any other object, without holding on to anything, without pulling on anything. And this is extremely important when we want the astronauts to go out and gather film from say the back of a future capsule or over to another spacecraft.
Well, what didn't succeed in today's flight was a rendezvous with the capsule booster because simply the rendezvous was called off. Trying to keep up with the orbiting booster during the first revolution, the spacecraft began using fuel at an unexpectedly high rate. These comments from capsule and ground tell the story.
Guaymas, this is Gemini 4. We're going to have to get resolution right away whether you want me to really make a major effort to close this thing or to save the fuel.
I think we should save the fuel.
Guaymas, do you read Gemini 4?
Roger, we copy. We suggest you stand by. We want to save the fuel.
Okay. I guess we've probably expended about 100 feet per second.
You expended 100 feet per
Negative.
second?
Don't think it's worth
That's just a
it.
rough guess.
Oh, Roger.
I don't think it's worth it.
The mission director has decided not to attempt any closer approaches to the booster. That is, he will not attempt the Gemini 4 spacecraft will not attempt to come closer to the booster during this revolution, when we will attempt extravehicular activity, and he will not attempt to come any closer during the 5th revolution as previously announced.